So Viltrox just released these two new APS-C moderate telephoto lenses, an EVO 75mm f1.8 and an EVO 90mm f2.2. And this video is going to be a little bit different because these two lenses are so similar, not only in focal length and in brightness of the lens, but also it looks like build and capabilities. So I'm going to test two lenses at once today, something that we pretty much never do. I'm Chris Niccolls, this is PetaPixel. Let's see which one's best for you. Now, we've talked about XR Photo quite a bit on our channel, and we do really like this software, but now XR Photo 2027 has just launched and it's available at the XR store. So XR Photo is this AI-powered standalone program that's all about making your life easier. It gives you great ways to organize your photos, to cull your images, and to recall them in very intelligent ways. And there's just so many ways that you can search your photos. I mean, you can use a content prompt-based search, you can search by specific faces or people, you can also search by keywords. They've even added a cool new feature now. You can search by timeline and actually build a whole graph to show you where your images fall, as well as a map feature so you can see where you took all your photos. I also really appreciate the powerful culling tools. XR Photo can actually show you your similar photos side by side. It can also go through and make sure that photos are sharp, or if they're out of focus, it can delete those automatically. It can even use focus peaking to show you what areas of the photos that are important to you are actually captured in focus. You can download a 14-day free trial and see if this will be effective for your workflow. As well, there's no subscription fees. This is a lifetime license. And if you're a PetaPixel viewer, you can use the code listed to get 15% discount off that lifetime license. You should definitely check out the link in the description below for more information. So I've played with my fair share of Viltrox lenses and I've always been impressed by them. I really like their full frame Pro Series lenses, which feature ultra bright apertures, but these EVO series give us affordable capability and still a lot of light gathering in a way more compact body. Now, what's really cool about these two lenses in particular is these are made purpose-built for the APS-C size sensor. And this is also very important because honestly, there's not a lot of lenses in this focal range for APS-C cameras. This is an untapped market. And yes, you can put full frame lenses on APS-C cameras, but you're paying more money, you're getting more weight and bulk, and that's not necessary to carry around. So I'm really excited to see how these behave. And because there is this lack of lenses in these focal ranges for APS-C cameras, it's important that Viltrox are releasing this in Sony E mount, Nikon Z mount, and Fujifilm X mount. So as I tested these lenses out, I was very surprised by just how similar they are, and especially the first way that I found them to be similar is how they're built and how much they weigh and how much size they take up in your camera bag. I expected there to be at least some difference here, but they're effectively the same size and weight. I mean, at the front of these lenses, you get a 58mm filter thread. Both have these very classic plastic bayonet style hoods on the front, and the weight on these, it will vary based on the camera mount, but you're roughly in that sort of 330 gram range. In fact, in Fujifilm X mount, I'm testing this on the X-T5 today, they're going to weigh exactly 335 grams each. Now, both lenses have a nice manual focus ring. It's well damped. I like the silver EVO badge against the black chassis. Very smart yet understated kind of look. And I appreciate that these lenses both have aperture rings. Now, they do have an automatic setting if you want to control it off the body, but they've got nice positive click stops in between. Do make note though, there's no way to turn that off. You can't put this into a D-click smooth turning aperture ring. Now, there's also another difference I want to point out here. If you get the Sony E mount or the Nikon Z mount versions, you will find an AF/MF selector switch and a customizable button. However, if you do get the Fujifilm X mount versions, there's a lack of customizable button, which is a little bit disappointing. And as well, there's no AF/MF selector switch. Now, on an X-T5, that's fine. I've got the selector switch right here on the body, but there are plenty of Fujifilm bodies where this is getting taken away, and that is going to slow you down a little bit. So as usual, Viltrox has put USB-C ports just inside the lens mount where it's protected, so you can do firmware updates and keep these things up to date. They've also added weather sealing on these very affordable lenses, which is great to see. Got rubber gaskets all throughout the lens as well as lens mount, which gives you that security, but on a bright sunny day like today, I don't think we're going to be testing that out. So I feel like I've had a good enough opportunity walking the streets of Calgary here to get an idea of how the autofocusing experience is with these lenses. They are affordable lenses, and therefore they're using more affordable stepping motors, and I'm getting a pretty typical experience of that, like nice and smooth. It's working with face and eye detect. It's tracking people as they're walking around. I'm not noticing any difference in when it acquires subjects or how well it tracks them. All stepping motors will have a little bit of a jitteriness and sort of a sound to them, but I don't think it would show up in video or anything like that. You're not going to hear it. It's not going to be as fast as something like the Fujifilm 90mm f2, which has a linear motor. That's still going to give you that quicker response, but overall for the price, I feel like I'm getting a satisfactory focusing experience out of this. So as you can see right now, we got this beautiful balanced light coming down, and it's nice to do portraits when you've got these bright light sources, but flare can be an issue. So how do the Viltrox handle bright light sources in the scene? Well, incredibly well. I mean, the coating's doing a really good job. As you can see here, we don't even get much veiled flare. Like, there's no washed out areas. It's handling it really well. Of course, you have the hoods if you want to really help protect from that as well, but I expected to see more ghosting. Shooting wide open at the widest apertures, you can see here just like a tiny ghost, but barely perceptible. And normally when you stop the aperture down tighter, this gets more obnoxious, but it doesn't in this case. These lenses might almost be too clean. I mean, if you're looking for that kind of washed out effect for portraits at sunset or something, well, this will give you a little bit, but not a lot. These coatings just kill flare. So LoCA, or longitudinal chromatic aberration, where you get the color fringing in the foreground and background out of focus areas, really hard to get rid of in post. This is another factor that is almost exactly the same on both lenses, and it is good because there's basically no LoCA. You can see here in our examples side by side, there's like a hint of color fringing in the out of focus areas, but it's incredibly minor. So both these lenses, it's a complete non-issue. So my memory card of choice today is a ProMaster Rugged 128GB SD card. And I found the one place in Calgary where if I put it down, I might actually lose it. Normally, if you drop this on the ground in the grass or whatever, it's super easy to find. I also appreciate that I've used these SD cards in so many different brands of cameras, and they've been reliable in all of them. They're V60 speed cards, nice and quick for our tests, UHS-2 compatible, but I like that there's no little plastic ribs on the back to break off. They also got rid of the locking switch. I know how to keep my files safe and not delete them accidentally, and getting rid of that locking switch, which is always a delicate weak point on SD cards, I think is a good choice. Now, these are made with components that are up to 3 times stronger than some of the components normally used to make SD cards. They're impact resistant and they give you a limited lifetime warranty. They also make micro SD cards for you drone pilots out there. So if you want to check out the ProMaster Rugged series of cards, click the link in the description below, but we got to get on with our shoot. No memory card, insert a new card. Oh, right. So one of the few lenses available to an X-T5 user that does work in the same kind of focal range is the Fujifilm 90mm f2, and that lens does actually have a really good capability to get fairly close to subjects. Gives you basically like a 0.3 times magnification ratio. So can these lenses compete with that? Absolutely not. In fact, that's not the strong suit of either of these lenses, but again, they have very similar results to each other. Both the 75 and 90mm Viltrox Evo lenses will focus down to 0.74 meters, but it gives you a rather paltry 0.12 to 0.14 magnification factor respectively. That means that you're not going to get, like as you can see here, very close at all. You're just not going to be able to isolate small details. Certainly get soft depth of field and a nice looking composition, but if you want that close-up capability to go from a portrait to just a person's eyes, this is not the lens. Okay, let's talk about bokeh on these lenses. And again, I'm going to do these together because they're very similar. I think you guys are getting the gist of this episode. So first off, when we take a look at the specular highlights here, shooting at the widest aperture on both lenses, you can see a nice cat's eye effect, no onion rings, super clear highlights. And I was expecting to see a bit of a soap bubble effect, a halo around the highlights, but I'm not seeing that. When we stop the lens down to f4, you'll notice that the 75mm, it's now getting rid of that cat's eye effect. We're getting nice round highlights, whereas the 90mm just has that slightly truncated look, but still clean, smooth looking bokeh. And this means that your out of focus areas just look soft, just fields of color and nice separation and smooth transition. So these are beautiful lenses for shooting shallow depth of field. So we're going to talk about sharpness next, and I would not normally put both lenses together in the same comparisons, but again, in this case, they're so similar. I mean, take a look at both of these lenses in the center at their widest apertures. You'll see excellent detail, maybe just a tiny little bit less contrast than you'd expect, but that's about it. very sharp. When we stop the lenses down to f4, you can see that contrast just gets better. The detail's already there. It's just excellent. What about the corners? It's the same story. Shooting wide open, the corners look fantastic with just that little bit less contrast. I'm not really noticing any major vignetting either. And stopping down the lens, those corners just get as good as they're gonna get. So these lenses exhibit fantastic sharpness across the board. And by the way, when the center of the shot's in focus, the corners are in focus too. So these are very easy, very sharp, very predictable lenses. All right, everybody, so we don't normally do 2 lenses in one episode, but the fact of the matter is these are very similar lenses, not only in the size and range that they cover and the purpose that they're made for, but also optical performance, as you've seen today, is basically the exact same across the board. And that is to say, both are excellent lenses. So how do we decide which one you should get? I don't think many people are gonna be looking at getting both of these lenses. You're gonna pick one or the other, and I think it's largely gonna come down to the focal length. I mean, we're talking about full frame equivalent fields of view. We're gonna either get 112 millimeters or 135 millimeters. And I mean, I would say maybe the 112 millimeter look is better for sort of head and shoulders portraits, your classic kind of portrait telephoto. I really like a 135 though for when I want to isolate a subject to maybe even a full standing portrait and really kill that background. But in the end, I can pretty much take a few steps forward or a few steps back and make either lens work in pretty much all the situations that I would encounter for them. So for my money, what would I go with? I'd probably choose the Viltrox 75 millimeter. I just feel like it's a little bit more affordable. I do get an ever so slightly brighter maximum aperture, and I can still make it do a lot of the same kind of work. But regardless which way you go, you're getting an astoundingly good lens for an astoundingly good price. So on top of having some fantastic choices for lenses here today, I think it's also awesome that we're seeing more APS-C specific formulas, especially in ranges that aren't really covered by anybody else. So if you're looking for this sort of moderate telephoto range, you want that shallow depth of field, and you want to keep things lightweight and affordable, these are fantastic choices either way that you go. I hope you guys enjoyed this look into the Viltrox lenses and this double lens look here in this video today. Hopefully it wasn't too overwhelming, but let us know in the comments below your feedback. Do also consider listening to the PetaPixel podcast. It's on this exact same channel where you can listen to all your favorite podcasting apps. And if you get a chance, check out the PetaPixel.com membership. It's such a good price, $3 a month, $30 a year. Look at all these benefits. We keep adding more and more perks every month, it seems. So you're getting tons of value for the dollar. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you soon with more on PetaPixel.